How did a 4,000-mile trade route, stretching from the east to the west, shape the course of history? Imagine a vast network of trade routes, connecting distant lands and cultures. This was the Silk Road, an ancient pathway that linked the east and west. For centuries it served as the lifeblood of civilizations, a conduit for cultural exchange and commercial interaction. The Silk Road wasn't a single path but a complex web of trade routes crisscrossing Eurasia, from the sun-drenched bazaars of the Middle East to the bustling metropolis of ancient China. It was the superhighway of its time, the main artery of commerce for an entire continent. The origins of the Silk Road trace back to the Han Dynasty in China around the 2nd century BCE. It was a time of expansion and exploration, and the Chinese were eager to establish trade routes with the Western world. This was a new era of interaction and exchange, and the Silk Road was its beating heart. The main commodity that gave the Silk Road its name was, unsurprisingly, silk. Silk was highly prized in the West and it became a symbol of wealth and status. The Chinese had a monopoly on silk production, and they were keen to trade this precious commodity for horses and other goods from the West. The Silk Road provided the perfect avenue for this exchange, and thus, it became the lifeblood of trade between these vastly different civilizations. But the Silk Road wasn't just about trade. It was a melting pot of cultures and ideas. It was a place where East met West, where ideas were exchanged as freely as goods. The Silk Road was the conduit through which Buddhism spread from India into China, and it was also the route by which Islam spread eastward into Central Asia. An innovation of the Han Dynasty, the Silk Road, played a pivotal role in connecting different civilizations, but its influence reached far beyond trade. This was not just a pathway for goods, but a highway for ideas, a route that shaped the course of history in ways that still resonate today. What happens when you mix cultures, goods, and ideas across a 4,000-mile route? Well, you get the golden age of the Silk Road, a period stretching from the 7th to the 14th century, which saw an unprecedented exchange of goods, cultures, philosophies, and even diseases. The Silk Road wasn't just a long, dusty trail. It was a vibrant, dynamic marketplace. During its golden age, it became an international hub of activity, humming with the sounds of merchants bartering, camels braying, and languages from all over Asia and Europe merging into a unique linguistic tapestry. And what a variety of goods were traded, from the precious spices of the East, redolent with the promise of exotic cuisines, to the gleaming gold and ivory that held the allure of wealth and power. There was silk, of course, smooth and lustrous, a symbol of luxury that gave the route its name. But the Silk Road was not just about tangible goods, it was also a conduit for the intangible: ideas, knowledge, and beliefs. One of the most profound influences of the Silk Road was the spread of religions, particularly Buddhism and Islam. Buddhism traveled from India to China, Korea, and Japan, leaving behind a trail of temples, scriptures, and art. Islam, too, found its way along the Silk Road, spreading from the Arab lands to Central and Southeast Asia, influencing societies and cultures in profound ways. Yet the Silk Road was not always a benign conduit. It was also a route for less welcome travelers, diseases. The infamous Black Death, a plague that decimated populations in the 14th century, is believed to have traveled along this route. In this crucible of exchange, cultures intermingled and interacted, influencing each other in ways we still see today. From the foods we eat, the clothes we wear, to the philosophies and beliefs we hold. The Silk Road was indeed a melting pot, a vibrant and dynamic route where East met West, creating a unique blend of cultures and ideas. But what brought an end to this bustling superhighway of cultures and trade? The Silk Road, once a bustling artery of trade and cultural exchange, began to decline around the mid-15th century. Several factors contributed to its demise, but three stand out prominently: the fall of the Mongol Empire, the advent of sea trade routes, and the scourge of the Black Plague. The Mongol Empire, under whose rule the Silk Road had thrived, began to crumble. As the empire fragmented, so did the unity that had facilitated trade across its vast territory. Insecurity and instability replaced the relative peace, making overland trade increasingly risky and less profitable. Meanwhile, a new era of exploration was dawning. The Age of Discovery, as it's often referred to, saw European explorers venturing farther afield in search of new trade routes. As they navigated around Africa and across the Atlantic, they found more direct, and often faster, sea routes to Asia. These maritime routes gradually supplanted the overland Silk Road, offering safer and more efficient passage for goods. And then there was the Black Plague. This devastating pandemic which swept across Eurasia in the 14th century dealt a heavy blow to the Silk Road. Trade slowed as cities quarantined and populations dwindled. Fear of the disease further discouraged travel and interaction among different cultures. The decline and eventual closure of the Silk Road had profound effects on the civilizations that had relied on it. Trade centers became ghost towns. Merchants sought new livelihoods. Cultures became more insular as the flow of ideas and innovations slowed. The Silk Road, once a vibrant tapestry of diverse cultures, was reduced to a mere historical footnote. But, as they often do, endings also usher in beginnings. The closure of the Silk Road marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. The age of sea exploration and colonialism. With the closure of the Silk Road, an era of vibrant cross-cultural exchange and trade came to an end, leaving behind a rich legacy that continues to intrigue us. What could possibly be the legacy of a trade route that ceased to exist over 5 centuries ago, you may wonder? Well, the Silk Road, despite its closure, continues to shape the world we know today. The Silk Road was not merely a highway for transporting silk, spices, and other exotic goods. It was a vibrant artery of cultural exchange that transformed societies across the Eurasian continent. The echoes of this transformation continue to resonate today. Whether it's the spread of religions like Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, the exchange of scientific and philosophical ideas, or the fusion of artistic styles, the Silk Road played an instrumental role in shaping the cultures of the modern world. But the legacy of the Silk Road doesn't stop at the past. It continues to inspire the present. Just take a look at China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, an attempt to revive the concept of the Silk Road in the 21st century. This initiative, involving more than 60 countries, is creating new trade routes and strengthening economic ties, mirroring the Silk Road's historical role as a conduit for commerce and connectivity. Yet this modern Silk Road is not without its controversies, reflecting the complex dynamics of power, politics, and economics that have always been a part of the Silk Road's history. It serves as a reminder that the Silk Road was not just about trade and cultural exchange, but also about the ambitions of empires and the push and pull of global geopolitics. So, as we navigate our interconnected world, it's worth remembering the Silk Road. Its legacy is not just in the goods that were traded or the cultures that were shared, but in the very concept of global connectivity it embodied. It reminds us that our world has always been interconnected, that we have always been part of a larger global community. The Silk Road may no longer exist, but its legacy lives on, shaping our world in ways that we may not even realize. So, what have we unearthed about the Silk Road? We've journeyed through time and space, tracing the paths of ancient traders and explorers along this vast network of interconnecting routes that span from the far eastern reaches of Asia to the heartlands of Europe. The Silk Road, born from the 2nd century BCE, served as a monumental highway for trade, culture, and ideas, shaping the course of human history for over a millennium. We reveled in the golden age of the Silk Road, a time when its routes thrived with activity, bustling with merchants bearing precious goods, scholars seeking knowledge, and missionaries spreading faiths. The Silk Road was more than just a conduit for silk, spices, or precious stones. It was a vibrant artery of cultural and intellectual exchange, where Greek philosophy met Buddhist teachings, where Chinese technology met Islamic science, and where languages, arts, and cuisines from different corners of the world converged, intermingled, and evolved. Yet nothing lasts forever. We delved into the factors leading to the decline and eventual closure of the Silk Road. From the rise of sea travel offering safer and cheaper alternatives, to political instability and territorial conflicts, the once bustling trade routes gradually fell into disuse and obscurity by the mid-15th century. But the story of the Silk Road doesn't end there. Its spirit lives on, evident in the lasting legacy it left behind. The Silk Road, in its prime, was a testament to human ingenuity, resilience, and the innate desire to connect, explore, and learn. It fostered the exchange of ideas and innovations, catalyzed the development of civilizations, and shaped the world as we know it today. As we conclude our journey, let's remember the Silk Road not just as a historical artifact, but as a symbol of our shared human heritage. A testament to the power of connection and cultural exchange, the Silk Road continues to inspire and fascinate us, reminding us of our interconnected past, present, and future. The Silk Road, a testament to human ingenuity and cultural exchange, continues to fascinate us, reminding us of the interconnectedness of our world.